every time I join with you, we try to do something fun. Today's meal is shoestring budget, right? That was my theme. So I'm like, I'm scratching my head because I'm trying to figure out which one I'm gonna go with. And I started getting into, I started thinking about soul food. And I realized to myself, you know what? This is the perfect. If you're not familiar with the history of soul food, what it is, what it has been coined is the modern name. But what soul food is, it's really the roots of American cuisine that we know. It was food that came from slave times and has evolved throughout the stages. And what was always common with it was we had to use what we had. So there was always budget-friendly recipes. One of the more popular items that we've seen have been fried green tomatoes. There was a whole movie named after it. So I wanted to do something to modernize it. I'm a chef, I like to change up. So we are modernizing fried green tomatoes, and let me walk you through the ingredients. Okay, all right. So starting out, instead of green tomatoes, I got red tomatoes. Why? Because I don't want you to worry about if you can't find green, you'll be okay. We got some green onions, some avocado, some regular onions, and then you're gonna note some things that you wouldn't think would go with fried green tomatoes. Collard greens, right? Definitely a staple in African-American homes, soul food classic. We've got some chicken breasts we're gonna work with, and then we have some almond flour, which is also something that you don't always see. So we're gonna break this out. I'm gonna end up making a stack. I'm gonna show you a new way to work with your collard greens. It's new and quick and delicious, and we're just gonna have a great time. Okay. First things first, though, we're gonna do what takes the longest. And in this dish, can anybody tell me? And I'm sure Megan, you got your hands up. What's gonna take the longest? It's going to be our chicken. So we're gonna get our chicken going, and to do that, simple. I'm gonna grab a bowl. I'm gonna put my chicken in. We're gonna pre-season it, and we're going to get it into a skillet and start sauteing it. So go ahead, preheat your pan. Preheat it on high. As always, do not add any oil in. And now that since we're working with raw food, what I'm gonna do is work with wet hand, dry hand. So one hand is gonna be contaminated, and that's the hand I'm trying to open this indestructible package of chicken with. Why did they make it so tough? Okay. And the other hand is not going to touch anything raw so that it can touch everything else. Now, I have a family of 4, so I'm gonna go ahead and cook most of this because we're gonna need it. You may not need to cook all of this. You know, for a normal family, 2 chicken breasts goes a long way. Matter of fact, even for a family of 4, 2 chicken breasts goes a really long way. I'm just being lazy because I'm not gonna wanna have to make more food later on. All right, so now that our chicken is here, I always tell you that when I'm pulling my chicken right out of the pack, I like to clean it a little bit. At home, you can just run it under some water. You can get some lemon juice. You can use anything acidic. Today, I'm not going to use lemon, which is my normal go-to. I'm going to use a little bit of vinegar. All right. We got a Marsala, which is a white wine vinegar. It's got a nice flavor, but because it is a vinegar, it will also act as a cleaner. But it's also going to give this chicken just a little bit of flavor, right? And that is never, ever a bad thing. So remember, you can use anything, you know, lime, acid, lemon, vinegar, you know, something that's got a little something to it. And since we're using liquid as a cleaner, we're also going to use this to help infuse some flavor. So I'm going to drop a little bit of seasoning right onto the chicken. Right now, while it's in here, the liquid will help draw the seasoning into the meat, to flavor the whole meat. So I'm going to use a little bit of adobo real quick. Now, at this point, I just want to pause. I know we've been in a lot of classes. Am I going too fast? I'm talking quickly.
I think you're good.
Okay. All right. So we season it. All right. Just a couple of pinches on one side. And I'm just going to rub this in. Since this is vinegar and not lemon juice, I'll use the extra juice that's in the bowl later on as a liquid to kind of give me maybe like a little bit of a gravy. We'll see what we end up with. We'll see where we end up. Oh, that actually smells great automatically. We haven't even done anything. It smells great. All right. So everybody's with me up to date. We're just seasoning up the chicken a little bit. We're doing it right here so we can get some even coverage. This is my adobo seasoning that I'm using, but at home you can just use some garlic, some kosher salt, some onion. It goes great with it, okay? Let's make sure, let's check our skillet. Let's see if this is getting hot enough for us. So I'm not touching this, okay? I'm not touching it. Hand is going close. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to feel for heat. There are two ways to do this. You can feel, and when your hand starts to get really hot, you know your skillet is just about hot enough, or you can wait for white smoke. As a chef, that tends to be my preferred method. Wait until I see like a little bit of white smoke, but that may make some people uncomfortable, as I've been told many times when I'm in grocery stores or other places doing live demos, and they're like, dude, you gonna set off my smoke alarm. And I'm like, I promise, not today. Now tomorrow, different story, maybe. Not today. So yes, so at the point where your hand feels almost like an even distribution of heat and you're a couple of inches, maybe like 6 inches above, that pan is technically hot enough. Because I'm using chicken and I'm gonna put in multiple pieces, I'm gonna let it get a little hotter, and here's why. Every time I put a piece of chicken into this pan, I am cooling the pan. So I want a smoking hot pan so that I don't have to wait too long in between putting my chicken in. So what that means is the smoke that's coming up, I can put in 2 to 3 pieces and then I can wait 30 seconds as opposed to putting in 1 piece, waiting 30 seconds for the pan to reheat. 1 piece, you know, the onesie twosie take too long. This way, so that's just why. And the heat is what's gonna give us this really nice sear, this char, lock-in flavor. All right, so smoking, smoking, smoking. Get that pan smoking.
Oh, stop it.
Megan doesn't mind.
I know she doesn't. Which is
All
problematic.
right, cool. It's smoking hot. It's ready for us to go in. We're gonna add in a little bit of oil. I use a squeeze bottle. You can buy a squeeze bottle at any grocery store. Put your oil to a squeeze bottle so that you use less. All right, here's simple. You just make a checkerboard pattern. So down and over. This way you're using less oil. That is a hack to make your dishes healthier. Find you a squeeze bottle. Put your chicken in presentation side down. So that means the top side down. Hear that sear, okay? You can't smell this aroma, but that marsala smells amazing. Oh my God. Right, and we're putting it in. Even though I don't have to wait too long, I'm still giving it just a few seconds in between each one because I want to make sure that my pan retains some heat. Oh, woo. This is nice. This is nice. So I'm going to do something called crowding the pan, which you normally don't want to do. But for the end result on this chicken, we're okay. We're okay for this particular dish. Okay? For this particular dish, I give you permission to crowd the pan. Remember, don't get rid of that juice. Save that. We're going to use that later. Okay? But because I've been working with raw chicken, even though this hand is clean, we're still going to take the top layer of my glove off. If you're at home, what I need you to do is just run and wash your hands real quick. Make sure you don't touch anything else. Don't touch the handles. Run and wash your hands and make sure we avoid cross-contamination. Okay, and this chicken is gonna cook for about 15 minutes. So we're gonna leave it on medium high and we're gonna go right to our tomatoes because that is our next longest item, even though it's pretty short. It's just the few steps we have to do. And I think you're gonna really like how this plays out, how this works out over here. Okay, so let's borrow this cutting board. Let's move our seasoning. I want to use my other knife. Okay. So, sharp knife is very important for this. Let's grab our tomatoes. We'll open them up. Maybe I don't need scissors. There we go. And the goal here is to make rounds. So we'll lay the tomato down like so, and I'm going to turn so you can see me. And cut off the stem because we don't want that piece. Okay, that's not a part of it. You can, but just medium thickness, not too thick, not too thin. The biggest thing is to make sure that they're not too thin. If they're a little too thick, that is okay. Thicker is not bad in this case. When you get to the back, I'm going to trim that off so that I can get 2 tomatoes. And remember, don't force it. Don't apply pressure. Sharp knife is good, just don't apply pressure, pull it out. You see these type of tomatoes, they're smaller than the beefsteaks, but they're not as loosey, meaning what's the technical term I'm looking for here? They're firmer. They don't fall apart as easy. That's why I picked these tomatoes. And once you have them, cut them. All right, and remember, the biggest thing is not to cut them too thin. You can cut them thick, that's fine. Just don't cut them too thin. If it's easier for you when you get down to the bottom right here, take it, press your hand flat, right? Or hold it, either way. Just come through, okay? Whatever's easier for you, we don't judge. Now, these ends of tomatoes are still good. Don't throw them out. Use them for stocks, for soups, for other stuff.
Or as a snack. I'm really hungry.
You're hungry? Well, babe, that's all you got to say. Here you go. What seasoning you want?
Can I have that big one?
The big one? What would you like?
You know what I want.
Okay. So back in the day, this is how we used to snack. And this is a really healthy snack. I'm dropping a little bit of the southern fried chicken seasoning on top of that tomato. And my wife is going to eat it. And she's going to be over here. So just, work with it. Y'all can't see her nodding her head, but she is over here like, oh, so amazing. I love that, babe. I love that, man. But that's how we used to snack, and that's what we need to get back to. So as we talk about, this being soul food, what's known as soul food in America is not what soul food is. Soul food was local. Soul food was seasonal. It was organic. It was all of the things that we look for. That's what soul food really was.
It was also shoestring budget friendly.
Oh yeah,
because it had to be.
Had to be. By necessity, we had to find the most affordable dishes that we could do. And it did not have a lot of meat. A lot of soul food was vegetarian, and there was a lot that was even vegan. And I know you're like, soul food? Vegan? Yeah. It's much more than just fried chicken and mac and cheese and collard greens. Those actually were celebration dishes.
You want some more? You have one too many.
I have one too many. Y'all heard it. I have one too many. So I got to go ahead and drop a little. And that's cool because while she's doing that, I wanted you to see this. You lay your tomatoes out on the cutting board. Keep in mind, I have not touched my chicken. Leave that alone. Lay them out on the cutting board flat and season them. Okay? Sprinkle. I'm using our southern fried chicken seasoning at home. Some lemon pepper would be amazing on these, right? So we're just going to season it. Okay? Just season it. All right? And I like to touch my seasonings. I feel like I can use a little bit less. I control where it goes. So we're going to season them all, and we're going to put these aside. Now, whenever you add salt to a vegetable or fruit, it's going to pull the natural water out of that. You want that to happen in this case because we need to put a crust on here. And the only way the crust is going to stick is if there's a little bit of liquid. So this is why you prep them this way. So we have our tomatoes. They look good. They're in nice rows. Let's move those to the side. And now let's prepare our flour and our dip because we've got to dip. Okay. I just had to try that. Babe, don't say nothing. Megan, we're friends. Remember this. Okay. All right. So before we get into the playing with flour, let's take a look at the chicken. It is probably time to flip. Okay. Let's take a look at the one on the side. We got a little bit of char. Okay. That's fine. Let's get in the middle here. Yep. So if you look at your chicken breast and it's starting to get white on the side, you know that it's just about time to flip. You see all that? It's getting white, getting a little color. So we got to add just a little more, just a touch more oil so this side doesn't stick. And that's why having that squeeze valve is effective. And we're going to flip.
Pretty.
That's pretty, right? This one didn't get as much, but that's okay. That's still looking good. Yeah. We just need a little bit of char. Now, normally, I would make you get a whole bunch of char. Once again, for this dish and this dish only, it's okay if we just have a little bit of char, so you can flip them and we can let them go. We'll come back to this in a minute. We're gonna forget about that for now on.
Forget about it.
Forget about it, huh? Okay, we have two things. There are several ways to bread an item. Traditional soul food, we just make a flour and we bread straight from the flour, right? But for this, we want to do what's called a wet batter. However, I don't want to use eggs. So I'm going to show you how to make a wet batter that's only 2 steps as opposed to 3 steps, that does not use eggs and will coat and work really well on any kind of substance. You can bread anything with this technique I'm about to show you, so pay attention. All right, babe, I need you to. Okay. So start with some water, okay, in your bowl. Just give a little bit more water. All right, this is something that's super cheap. So if you have a little bit of waste, don't worry about it. We're gonna add a little hot sauce. Now I know a lot of people don't like spicy. Don't worry, this will not be spicy. The hot sauce gives us a nice bit of flavor right in there, right? And then we're gonna add our flours. Today, we're gonna use a combination of almond flour, which is better for you, and some regular flour, all right? We're doing this because, once again, we're trying to eat better. Healthy is a moving target, but we can always do better. So add your almond flour right in there, okay? And you've got to add just a little bit of your regular flour. So for that, I'm going to use some self-rising. When I say a little bit, maybe just 1/4 cup. And I'm not going to measure, I'm going to eyeball this, but you don't need a lot. Let's go for our consistency here. Let's whisk this up, okay? Let's whisk this. Okay, it does not have to be super thick. This is still a little thin, so we're gonna add just a little bit more, but it's more so to get a coating. So we're gonna add just a little more regular flour, we're gonna whisk it, and we're gonna be ready. While that's happening, we also have to have our flour that we're dipping, which here, I already have some seasoned flour, but I'm gonna show you how to make it. So you would put about 1/2 cup of regular flour into the bottom. You're gonna add equal amounts of almond flour, right? Then you want to season your flour. Now, I don't care what any other chef says, this is straight from mom, season your flour. Here, you can put a little kosher salt, which is less sodium than table salt, and I mean just a little, okay? And then whatever seasoning that you're going to cook with, and for my tomatoes, it's gonna be our Southern fried chicken seasoning. You go ahead, you drop that into the flour. That's important, okay? Into the flour. You can use a little more seasoning than usual because flour has a way of washing away seasoning. And we just mix this up. I'm shaking it, but you can just mix it up, okay? You don't have to use big bowls and a whisk. You can use small bowls at your home and a fork and make them in proportion. So if you don't have big bowls, don't worry about it. If you don't have a bowl at all for your flour, my mom used to do it in a Ziploc bag. And it was amazing every time. Can you see this here? It looks cloudy. It's got a little green tint because of my hot sauce. At home, most people will use red hot sauce. Does not matter the type of hot sauce you use. If you use red, it'll have a little bit of a red tint, but I chose green because, you know, green tomatoes, whatever. Don't mind me. All right, here is the all-important steps. I'm going to use a spoon because I don't want to get this all over my hands. Right, drop a couple in, let them submerge, let them really get coated in there, okay? Drop a couple in, drop a couple in. Ooh, that's looking good. Now, you notice I'm using a big bowl, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I don't wanna have to do this too many times. I'm gonna take one, shake off some of the excess, and I'm gonna drop it, all right? And I should show you this one by one, shouldn't I? Let's do it right. Once you drop it in, put some coating right on top, okay? Place it there. Now, if you want a little extra crunch, and I wanted to show the difference, that's why I'm waiting, we'll add in some breadcrumbs. I wanted to show you how to do it like this in case you do not have breadcrumbs at your house. I don't want you to go out and buy extra ingredients. If you have it, use it. If you don't worry about it. I had it, so I'm going to use it, but I just want you to know that if you don't have it, it's still just fine. Okay, so the rest of mine are going to have breadcrumbs in it. Drop it in. The same thing, put a little flour on top, press down. I got a good coating, put it back. You see, they look very similar. Drop it in, and we're going to repeat this process until all of our tomatoes are coated, and then we're ready to pan fry them and enjoy some of this deliciousness. I hope y'all are excited. I'm excited about this one. Babe, how you feeling about this one?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yes. This is just one of those time-tested situations. Now, for all of my family watching, you want to engage all of the little people in your household to do this kind of work. They've got better backs and they've got little hands. Engage them to dip and drop. Dip and drop. That could be a song, it could be a hit. I might have a career outside of cooking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes to that one.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. All the support.
Just because I know what you did in your previous life. So
I'm trying, you know. Okay, our chicken is smelling phenomenal. I actually really can't wait to get into it. I've got a couple more. And I'm doing all these tomatoes because I have a family of 4, and I promise you, all of my children will eat this. We're gonna get ready to put that chicken in.
Can you save some so the kids can do some?
Absolutely.
Well, no, don't bother.
No, yeah, no.
No, don't bother, because when we're gonna sit down for lunch after this and they're gonna eat all of it, and then I'm gonna be upset that we didn't just make all of it, and then
They're not gonna share with you, babe?
no.
Okay, well, I can bread a little faster because it's time to move our chicken soon.
Yes, because I smell it.
Smell it.
It smells amazing.
You're starting to smell a little bit of
Zoom
char,
in
right?
there a little bit,
So
yeah.
zoom in there real quick while I finish the rest of these in hyper speed. In
So
chef
pretty.
speed right here. This is called chef speed.
So pretty. So obviously this stack can be done with like fish or seafood or something like that. It wouldn't be as traditional.
No.
Right? But it could be done with something else. So for a shoestring budget, well, where did you shop first of all?
So I shop at Walmart, and I'm going to tell you why. I could get some of the best deals, and plus, people don't realize Walmart is the largest purveyor of organic food in the nation right now.
Yeah. And I know we had the almond flour, which is the green wise flour from Publix.
Yeah.
That gets a little bit pricey, but if you notice, we're really not using a whole lot. That's so beautiful.
Well, and to talk about that, as you say, a big part of having budget-friendly shoestring meals is having stuff in your pantry, using stuff in your pantry. We already had the almond flour.
Yeah.
We already had the breadcrumbs, which is why I said, hey, you gotta, if you have it.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, I don't want you to go buy it.
We already had onions. So if you can buy,
yeah,
if you can buy onions from like Sam's or from one of those sort of larger club, yeah.
Then your price per onion goes from like 99 cents an onion to about 49 cents.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference.
Which makes a huge difference. And your onions are gonna last,
They're gonna be incredible.
So,
I am moving my chicken.
Yeah, so there's there's so much that you can do from those discount clubs. If you're gonna buy salmon or anything like that, like buying from Sam's, BJ's, Costco, if you have a membership, is a good idea, because then you can really do meal planning from there and control your budget, and you'd be surprised how much money you save.
Now I'm going to remember that liquid that we said reserve.
Yes.
I'm going to pour that into this bowl, into the wok. Now, you don't have to switch to a wok. I'm doing this because I want to cook live. You can do this in your pan. I also have more than 2 pieces. For a small family, only add a couple pieces, and I'm going to add just a little bit of water. Okay.
So like if you were if you were just 2 people in your household, you could do 2 chicken breasts because that's, you know, you do 2 chicken breasts. We showed in the last class how to butterfly, you know, which is cutting it down the middle. Oh, no,
Okay,
stop,
okay,
no.
okay, okay. Megan, we were almost there.
We were almost there, but we weren't, not quite. So you could take those two chicken breasts and butterfly them, right? And then that'll be what? 1 whole chicken breast for you for 2, maybe 3 meals.
Yes.
Because you butterfly it down the middle. Now you've got 4 pieces instead of 2. And then you slice like we've shown in the other classes, like slicing them thin. So
Exactly.
it allows you to control like how much you're consuming, even though chicken breast is like a really great kind of healthy alternative to like red meat and that kind of thing.
It gives you just a little bit extra. Now here, what we're gonna do is, and actually, if you want to tape me, so I want to go over something. If you're just using 2 chicken breasts, you can do all of this in the same pan. So you could have 2 and move them to the side and our fried green tomatoes. I'm going to take this pan, I'm going to preheat it, and I'm going to get ready to fry our fried green tomatoes. So preheating the pan, this time we will add some oil because we're watching it. Now, we are shallow pan frying our fried green tomatoes. Look at these lovelies. Look at how beautiful they are. A traditional recipe calls for them to be deep fried. We're not doing that. We're shallow pan frying it because we want to live better. Okay, once again, remember, the heart of soul food was not the fried stuff. It was actually very, very healthy. So I want to pay homage, and I'm only going to put enough oil to cover the bottom of this skillet. We're not deep frying, right? We're going to pay homage. We're going to treat soul food right. While that's happening, I'm going to start pulling my chicken, and I get to use my claws. Okay, so we're doing pulled chicken because if this is a true shoestring budget meal, and if we were cooking true soul food style, we're not going to give people a half of a chicken. I'm not giving you a half of a chicken breast. I'm not giving you a whole chicken breast. You're going to get some chicken, right? Portion control. That's the other thing. So when I tell you that soul food was really healthy and really good for you, they understood portion control. They also understood eating with colors. So you're going to see a lot of different colors on our plate because that's important. That means you're eating seasonal and healthy. Now, I'm just having fun with this. You guys can use a fork if you like. If you notice, once again, there is a little bit of liquid here. That just to help promote the cooking and keep it moist so that I can shred it. Like I said, I'm having fun with this. I would normally get a little more active, but I don't want to splash. All right? But this is all we're going to do. We're going to shred these, and we're going to move on to our next step. I want to review quickly what we have going on, and then we'll go from there. By the way, if you notice it's tough to shred, that's because the chicken is not cooked. As the chicken cooks, it will get easier and easier to shred. If you're at home and you don't have these lovely tools, my claws, once again, go back to something we all have, and that's a fork. Get 2 forks and just pull apart, just like you do a pulled or shredded beef or something, okay? So as this cooks, it gets easier. We're gonna come back to that. We're gonna keep monitoring it. Our pan is almost hot enough to drop our tomatoes, and I'm gonna show you how that's done. Now, typically, if you're deep frying something, you need your oil to get really, really hot. For this concept, you don't have to do that as much. And yes, I am using the pan the chicken was in because that's extra flavor. You don't have to wait for it to get as hot because it's still going to give you that crisp and that sear. It can't be cold, but it doesn't have to be boiling hot. That way we get it brown. Temperature control is important. You just place them in, right? Don't stir, don't move them. Place them all in here, and as many as you can get. Okay? Place them all in there. Get them in. Okay? You see that? Place them in. I'm going to turn this up to a medium high, and we're going to let that work. In about 3 minutes, well, 2 minutes, we will flip, give it a minute on the other side, and then we'll be finished with cooking those. They're so fast, man. I love this dish. This is not only budget friendly, it's fast, affordable, and quick. right? And see what I said? You see how that's already starting to shred up a little easier right there? This is something, you know, this is not something for little hands because I'm shredding while the stove is still on. What I would ask you to do at home is to fully cook your chicken and shred outside of the pan. This is just me being a chef. If you're comfortable though, get in there. If you're comfortable, get in there. Let's have fun with it. All right, this is smelling amazing.
Yeah, it smells really good.
I like my tools. Okay. I'm gonna stop. I know. Please, I'll stop playing with my tools in a second. Just a little more shredding. Okay. Cool.
All right, so we'll pause right now for questions. If you're watching this as a recording, you can always send us questions at Chef Culture, KULTURE, chefculture@gmail.com. If you have questions when you're watching this, either about this recipe or just about some kind of general food related question, or if you've watched a previous class and you have another question, you have a different question, chefculture@gmail.com.
Yes. Now we only have one more item in this whole dish to cook, and that's going to be our collard greens, which are shredded and washed and ready to go. Okay. But before we do our collard greens, we have to prep an onion and an avocado or two. So to prep the onion, I'm just going to go ahead, and y'all know this, cut your butts off, right? Anything round must be made flat. Cut it in half, and go ahead and discard these ends. Now, I moved a little faster today because we've done this on several videos, so I'm assuming you already got this technique down. All right? The onion goes with the collard greens. It's just going to give it a little extra flavor. We're going to dice them. So we're just going to cut lengthwise and then rotate. Rough chop, don't worry about it being perfect. It's okay. Once you got them, slide them over, slide to the right, because that's all we need. Once again, lengthwise. Okay, and quick prep. One onion is enough. Actually, if it's only for a family of two, please just use half an onion. You don't need to use a whole onion. It's actually a little too much if it's only just for two of you guys, right? My family, we like onion, so we have that. So I'm sliding those over. I'm moving my tomato tops. Okay, I'm hearing my tomatoes with a nice sizzle over there. I'm going to get ready to get into this avocado. Okay, now this takes a little more. Avocado. So what are we looking for with avocados? We always talk about picking the right stuff. I want something that is getting to brown a little. Not very, very brown, but beginning to brown. And when you squeeze it, it should be slightly soft, malleable. It should not be super soft. That's overripe, but slightly soft. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to just cut through this avocado. I'm going to show you how to take it out. We'll open it. We'll be done. All right. So we're going to make one cut right on top. Rotate. Now, you should be cutting the avocado on the cutting board. Okay? Let me show you on the cutting board because you don't want to do what I did. I'm a bad example. Take the avocado, put your knife in, control your knife, and roll. Right? See that roll? See that roll right there? Take it and roll. And then take your two hands and twist. Okay. One more time. Okay. Roll it, right? So I'm starting here, avocado, and we're just gonna roll our knife. Roll our knife, right? When you get to the end, you pull it. Now we still have to get our seed out. You should be able to just pull. And if that seed doesn't want to come out like that, it's your spoon. It will come out. Eventually. Maybe we'll get the whole avocado out before we get the seed out. That's okay too. That's okay too. I can scoop it out. Don't worry about the avocados being super pretty. right? Just scoop them out. And I'm telling you, don't worry about it because we're going to put these right on top of the tomatoes, which I do have to attend to very quickly. Okay, so let's look in on our tomatoes and smell them. Do y'all see this here? Okay, guys, to recap on where we are going to now add in our diced onions because we're getting ready to do our collard greens. All right, we're doing these Brazilian style. So that means saute on top of the stove. But you know, good collard greens, and you need a little bit of onions in there. And you're gonna need some garlic, and you're gonna need some salt and some pepper and other things, which is why I'm using our meat seasoning. I'm gonna put that right on top of these onions here. We're not gonna stir them. We're just gonna let those sit. I've got to drop a couple of tomatoes in. So like I said, let's recap. We have our now pulled chicken, okay? We have some tomatoes that came out. They're a little bit crispier than I wanted. That's okay. It's all flavor. All right, let's put this in. Let's drop a couple tomatoes right here. Let's get them going. Now, here's what I want you to keep in mind. You see how that breading stuck to that? Good. Okay. Here is what I want you to keep in mind, family. When you're cooking for real, sometimes it doesn't come out as pretty as you like, but it's going to be beautiful and good. And once again, this is shoestring budget. So I want to talk about that while these next tomatoes are getting perfect here. Tomatoes, 3 tomatoes. We got 5 slices each. That's 15 slices. That means I could give my whole family of 4 3 slices each for 3 tomatoes. That costs $3. $1 tomato, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Can't beat that. Can't beat that.
Chicken breast. We used a bunch of chicken breasts, but you don't have to. You can use 2 chicken breasts. So if you take that out of the package that you would buy, you're gonna have that's only a couple dollars there. Onion.
I think for us that amount of shredded chicken is gonna last us 3 meals for our family. Yeah, at least.
And that's when you're cooking. Sometimes when we're talking about budget, cook in bulk and then save it and separate it out for different meals, which also allows you to cook on a budget.
Yeah.
Our collard greens were only a couple of dollars. Our onion was 49 cents, and we had other things in our pantry.
Yeah.
We had flour, we had breadcrumbs, so it works. And this is how you shop on a budget and get everything right. Let's look at these onions here. They're getting this little bit of, see this nice little brown right there?
Yeah. So what are the onions for?
The onions are for the collard greens.
Ah, okay. Give the collards a little bit of flavor.
Give the collards a little bit of flavor. Yeah, anytime you cook collards, even the old way, you always use some onions. But we're roasting them, which is new for most people. This is Brazilian style, stovetop. Okay? So I bought cut and washed collard greens. Why? Because if you've ever cut and washed collard greens, you don't even have to ask me why. You already know. Let's go ahead and put them in. These greens are going to act like spinach, meaning even though I have this whole pot, it is going to shrink down severely. So let's go ahead and drop a little bit of seasoning right on top here. Okay, add some more greens to it. Okay, and I'm not going to do the whole bag, but I'm doing most of it because I do believe in eating our greens. All right, so this is actually enough. This is amazing. This is so good. I'm loving this. I'm getting ready. I'm excited. I can already taste it. I'm smelling all of these smells, and you guys can't, but I'm smelling them. This is amazing, right? A little more seasoning, and to tie it in with our chicken, just a little more solid. Now, you can add regular liquid. You can add chicken stock, veggie stock, right? But why not add something with flavor like marsala? Let's go. Let's go. And we're good to go. Now, I've got to flip that over to my tomatoes. Okay. Go ahead and let's see. Ooh,
pretty.
Got my thing. It's beautiful. The crust is good. But we don't want to use the spoon. So look, right? This crust is almost starting to burn. I'm going to use my finger. Okay, that's a little light. We're going to give these 30 more seconds. We're going to let that get a little darker, but it's looking great, though. That's the part I'm talking about. While that's happening, let's come over. Let's toss our greens. Greens cooked in this fashion cook very quickly. The reason why I do this is because even though we're doing a budget, I also want to be cognizant to not cook out all of my nutrients. right? I don't want all of my nutrients gone. So in order to make sure I don't cook out all of my nutrients, I'm gonna stir this. We're just gonna wilt it down. We're gonna be good. All right. My lovely wife is so amazing. She went and got me a spatula. Right turn. Oh, that's pretty. Okay, so something interesting. You see how it's starting to char just on one side? Here's how you fix that. Turn it. Right? So when you're cooking, you always cook a couple of test batches. You see what it is. If you notice one is coming out differently from the others and it's charring, turn it. And I also want you to note how little oil we use. You don't need to deep fry these. You don't need a lot of oil. They're going to come out perfect every single time. It's going to be amazing. And I have one last thing to add into my collard green, because any good collard green has a little bit of heat. So Chef has what's called that heat. Okay, that heat is a signature seasoning. We use it all the time. It's spiced with flavor. We just put a pinch in there just to give those collard greens just that little extra something. You feel me? All right, let's get back to my tomatoes. Let's turn those. You see how quickly these are done? These are almost done. 2 more minutes. Our collard greens are finished, and then we are ready to plate and eat, which is what I love. Let's come back to this last tomato over here. Let's see if we got the right coloration. Oh, that's pretty. That one's pretty. Okay, so we'll give these a few more minutes. While they're doing that, I'm going to add in these other tomatoes off to the side. Okay, we'll make sure to cook up all of these, hook them up with the cook up, and then we are just about ready to eat, y'all. We're just there. All right, last thing are avocados. So I peeled most of them. We're going to make slices. Avocados are funny. That's okay. I'm just going to go straight down. And the reason why is because our avocados are going right on top of our tomatoes. And that's a part of our plating. And this is going to give us a very gorgeous, gorgeous presentation. Plus, it's the good fat that you need. This is the kind of good fat that you will love. I promise you, everybody, this is that signature touch. This is just that last little thing that you need, okay? Now let's not forget about our tomatoes. Let's get them off of there, especially this one right here, which I think may be our first really pretty one. Our second pretty one. Let's get these down.
Do you need a presentation plate?
I'm gonna grab it right now. Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, so our greens are finished. That quickly, people. Greens are finished. Okay, let's get 2 more tomatoes off.
Pretty.
All right, I need a little bit more oil for these new ones. And then we're ready to go. Yeah, so without oil, it doesn't get the same brown. So I'm going to show you the difference because I'm going to add some oil for these new ones right here. You don't need a lot, but you do need some. The browning, the coloration that we really want on here requires a little bit of oil. Now, I'm using my fingers. Please, y'all, remember that I'm a chef. I'm asking you not to do that. It's still pretty, but it's not the same thing. Let's get to presenting. We're ready. Are y'all ready? Because I am. First step in this. We don't have to retake this. All right, just getting a little garnish ready. Just a little garnish because we are ready to plate. All right, the first step in our presentation is to put down our first layer, which are our greens. So I don't want to get any of the juice from the greens. So what we're going to do is we're just going to let it drain a little bit. We're going to put the greens right down. So try to contain them. They are greens. They want to go where they want to go. But in this case, we want them to do what we want them to do. Okay, so those are our greens. Okay, and I need to, don't mind me, you got to plate and work, let's go ahead and let's take this beautiful one right here. And this bad boy, yes, 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 with the crust right there. Come on, we're all going. This one. So we're gonna plate 3 beautiful tomatoes right there, okay? Now on top of the tomatoes, this is where we have to have a little bit more fun with it. Let's get some avocado, okay? Just gonna put some out real quick. Once again, we're just having a little bit of fun, right? A couple of avocado right on top. Come on, you can do this. There you go, you can separate it. Now, what's the magic number of food? 3. But 2 is just fine. We're gonna go with 2, whatever. All right, we don't have to be perfect, but just 2 avocados just right there. So this is the start of the plate. It's looking amazing. We're going to finish this off with our beautiful shredded chicken. All right, a little bit right on top. A little bit. Just finish it off with our shredded chicken and a drizzle of our balsamic. And don't worry if some of the chicken falls, it's okay. That happens as you're making stuff. It's fine, right? This is just what we do. Okay, that's too big. I got a little too ambitious, y'all. Okay, that's perfect. We don't care. It doesn't have to be perfect with this. Hold on. I do have to flip my tomatoes, though, because we're going to eat those. All right. So, little balsamic. Shake it up. This is our drizzle. All right, beautiful, and a dash of chives or scallions. And this, my friends, this is our tomato stack, right? Based off of fried green tomatoes. You see how we elevated this amazing plate. It's super light, super healthy. It's affordable, and it's awesome for you and the family. You can make it, it stretches. Let's go. That looks phenomenal.
All right. So, as always, if you have questions about this class or any class that we have taught, or just culinary questions in general, you can email us at chefculture@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining once again, and we will see you next time.